I found these reverse Motorsport Blue 4s going for dirt cheap in an eBay auction, but after seeing them in person, they're much worse than I thought. There's some areas of permanent damage, and I was in for a crazy surprise when I checked the insides. The first thing I noticed is there's a pretty big tear on the inside. We might be able to patch this up later. There's some damage to the wings, nothing too crazy though. And thankfully the back portion is good. With heavy wear, this area tends to rip sometimes. Let's take out these insoles and see what's going on inside. All of that is sand, and I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. It's always interesting to see what's hiding on the sides. Using my trusty scissor, I can scrape out the corners. These currently take the #1 spot for the dirtiest shoes on this channel. These insoles are completely fried. I'm just gonna throw them out. Now let's clean up and move on. The first main step is inserting shoe trees. This is gonna help give them their shape back. And now we can give them a light cleaning. It doesn't show too well on camera, but the sock liners were filthy, so I added some detergent and I scrubbed away. Even after cleaning the soles, they were stained brown. We'll have to use the indoor unit to take care of this later on. Because there's slight damage on the wing, I'll try to protect it with a cleaning towel. In the laundry bags they go, cold cycle, 15 to 30 minutes. The shoes are now dried, but I noticed there's still some debris in there, so I'll go back and I'll try to clean as much as I can. While we're here, let's take care of the lint on the lining. I'll spray down the insides completely with an antibacterial spray, just in case. To reduce the creases, we can stuff the toe boxes, place a wet rag over the surface, and gently iron it back and forth. We don't want to overdo it because we might cause separation. Ankle creasing is usually permanent, but it's still worth a try. To get them ready for a repaint, I'm using acetone and cotton balls to remove the factory finish and also the paint on the midsoles. Acetone should be safe on these midsoles, but you should always patch test it first and don't scrub too hard. Within like 20 minutes or so, I was ready to go. I only have a few days to get this project done, so I try to fit in a quick icing session. I'm using Salon Care 40, Saran Wrap, and our indoor unit. I'll also put some on the plastic parts. If you want to see how to make one of these units, I'll add a link above. The leather is damaged all around. We'll have to use a couple of different techniques to try and bring it back. First, we're going to dry sand it with a low grit sandpaper and then work our way up to a high grit to smoothen it out. All my supplies will be linked down below. I noticed there's some separation, so I cleaned the surface using acetone on a Q-tip and I applied some Bart Super Stick. There's also a tear in the front, we'll have to glue it down. If we don't peel off the tape right after, the glue might come off with it. I let everything cure for like 10 minutes or so, and I clamped it down. The next technique to try and restore the leather is to use leather filler. This works really good for deeper marks, and I'm also going to apply it to any area that I just sanded. When it dries, I'll sand it down again. I know this looks pretty crazy right now, but the excess filler will be sanded down. I was messing around and I tried to sand the rubber down to see if I can smoothen out some of that permanent damage. The marks are still there, but it looks a little bit better now. I brushed it down, taped up, and gave the midsoles a few light coats of paint. I dried it with the heat gun and sanded in between coats to remove any imperfections. And then I simply repeated this until it was fully laid down. The same thing applies for the black paint. The leather is fully painted. Now let's tape up and paint the top portion of the midsole. We're also doing light coats. We don't want to oversaturate the seal because it's going to bleed. The last technique to try and bring the leather back is called wet sanding. I basically just take a high grit of wet sandpaper and sand in a circular motion. I don't do this too often, it's only if I paint a surface and I see there's still some kind of roughness to it. Essentially what it's doing is it's pushing paint into any of those crevices, and it smoothens it out. The uppers are pretty smooth now. Let's peel off the tape and see how we did. I got some touch-ups to do, but when that's done, we can take them outside and spray them with some Krylon matte finisher. This will also hide most of the marks on the back. 2 to 3 light coats is all you need. For the tear on the side, I bought a canvas repair patch, cut it to the right size, and pasted it on. Again, if you're interested, you can find all my materials down below. Even on the curve, the adhesive is really good on this. To give the shoes a more polished look, I buffed them down with some tire shine. Now this effect is temporary. It'll go back down after a few days. These are my replacement insoles, and finally I gave them a brand new set of laces. That's the end of this restoration, and I'm really glad we saved these from the trash. I would really appreciate it if you can drop a like and let me know what you think down below. Thank you guys so much for your support, and I'll catch you in the next one.